Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel, and in today's video we will be doing the mid-year freak out tag. I have a few questions on my phone and I thought we could answer them together. It is all about mid-year things, anything related to books that is like mid-year check-in before we do a little wrap up towards the end of the year. I have found a few questions that I thought it could be interesting to just answer and see my progress on reading when it comes to this year so far. I think in total I have 8 questions, and then I have like some kind of fast bonus round in the end, just some questions that I added that could be interesting. So let's go to the first question. The first question that I have is, what is the best book you've read so far this year? And if you know one thing about me is that I'm indecisive, especially when it comes to my books, because I cannot choose them, but I have chose them based on category a little bit, and I'm not just choosing one, I'm choosing a couple, but I think it's fine. For sci-fi, I've only read one book, so for sci-fi, my top one is definitely Project Hail Mary. It was one of my favorite reads of the year. It is a 6-star read. It was so good, and I understand the hype. I watched the movie adaptation immediately after, and it was also a good movie adaptation of it. So yeah, really enjoyed Project Hail Mary. And for romance, I have 3. I know, I cannot choose. It's Our Perfect Storm by Carly Fortune, One Golden Summer by Carly Fortune, and Dolly All the Time by Annabel Monaghan. I really enjoyed these 3 contemporary romances. I think it's just very different to what I usually read. I don't usually read like older romance, older in the sense that it's like they're not 17 or 18. It's like my first time reading, not my first time, but it's like first time since a long time that I go back and read a contemporary romance that the main characters are in their 30s, and I feel like it's so refreshing to read. Yeah, and I'm quite surprised that the 2 books that I read from Carly Fortune, both of them are like 5-star reads. So if you are looking for a good contemporary romance books, like a more mature contemporary romance books, definitely check her books out, and also Dolly All the Time by Annabel Monaghan. And moving on to fantasy romantasy book, my top 2 is Sword of Kaigen by M.L. Wong. It is honestly one of my favorite, I think, martial art story in a way. I don't think I've read a lot of martial arts story. This is probably my first one, but it is not my first Japanese based or Japanese inspired fantasy, and I really enjoyed this one. Like the depth of the character and just the plot, the magic system, just how detailed everything was written. I just truly adore this book. And a favorite in the romantasy genre is A Kingdom of Flesh and Fire. I did not expect this book to be so good. I read Blood and Ash series. I think in between the 2 books, the first and the second book, I read it, I think it was 2 years. Did not really had like the feeling that I want to continue with the series. I read the second book and then immediately read the third and the fourth and the companion series. So now I'm like 9 books in, and I'm so excited to continue. I think I have book 6 and book 7, and then book 8 is coming out this year. So I'm really excited to read that. But right now we're in summer. I don't even know if I want to touch any wintry romantasy series because it's just too warm outside. But yeah, that is my answer for the first question. Now moving on to the second question, I have, what is the best sequel or continuation you've read? I just talked about it. Is A Kingdom of Flesh and Fire. It is so unexpected. I think I came into it having my expectations quite low because the first book I did not really love, and the second book was just like, it's nothing crazy or groundbreaking. It's just, I have not read a romantasy with such a solid writing style like this, and I love the plot and just like how crazy everything has become, because in the first book we found out crazy things, and then I was like, surely it cannot be crazier. Well, the second, the third, and the fourth book, they have proven me wrong. And then also the companion series, it's also expanded the story even more, and I know what's coming next, and I'm quite nervous for our main characters, but I really enjoyed this one. Moving on to the third question. What has been your biggest surprise of the year? Again, coming back to the Blood and Ash series. I really do enjoy this series, but I also have, let me grab this, another series that I really enjoyed, and I started it not too long ago. It is the Anne series by L.M. Montgomery. I read first and second book. I know I already bought the rest of the book. I think I love Anne of Green Gables so much that at this point I just want to read what our main character is doing, even though it's nothing. And I just love how Anne is such a whimsical character. She's like the epitome of romanticizing someone's life, or she's romanticizing her life to the max, and I really enjoy reading that or just being in her mind in general. And I have the whole series. I finished Anne of Avonlea not that long ago. I really want to continue to Anne of the Island, but as you guys could see, it's a very fall-esque cover, and I feel like to absolutely maximize my reading enjoyment with this book, with this series, I want to kind of match them to the season a little bit outside. And I don't know if I want to read anything fall-esque when right now it's like sweltering outside. It's 40 degrees. So I don't even know if I want to touch this yet. But anyway, moving on to the next question. What has been your biggest disappointment? I have to grab this. One sec. My biggest disappointment is the Flesh and Fire series. I have heard so many good things when it comes to the Flesh and Fire series, especially from people who read Blood and Ash series. Obviously, I read it, I loved it, and I was like, I want to read more by Jennifer L. Armentrout. And they're like, if you love Blood and Ash series, I think you'll be mind blown by how good the Flesh and Fire series is. I'm just gonna pick this book. Guys, I cannot tell you how disappointed I am in reading these books. It's so long. First of all, wait, let me just show you again. Oh gosh, it's quite heavy. It's long. It's insanely long. I mean, not insanely, okay, I'm exaggerating it, but also at the same time, it's giving us a lot of lore for the Blood and Ash series, but also at the same time, it's giving us nothing. It's just pure spice. And like, yes, we finally understand like the backstory of everything, but I think all these books probably could be cut down in half, and maybe it could just be a trilogy. I don't know. It just feels very, I don't know how to explain it. It's really disappointing in a way. Oh, actually, maybe for coming back to the question before, what's my biggest surprise of the year? I'm not gonna take it off the shelf, but it is the Hunger Games series. I read it this year, and honestly, it is such a surprise. I didn't know that the Hunger Games trilogy was that good, and even the prequels, they're amazing. And I feel like I missed out, and people read this whenever they were like in their teenage years. And if I were to read this in my teenage years, I think I would have probably be more of a Hunger Games girly than a Divergent girly, because I think whenever it was like the dystopian era, I only read the Divergent series. I don't think I even watched the Hunger Games movies or read it at all. So now, like 10 years later, reading it, I have some regrets. But honestly, no regrets, because I read it just now and it was amazing. Okay, now going to the next question. Who is your favorite new fictional character you've met this year? Without a doubt, Anne Shirley from Anne of Green Gables. Again, I don't know if I have a different adjectives when it comes to explaining what her character is or how she is in general. She's just very whimsical, such a adorable, loving life, loving every single moment of life kind of girl, and I love that. And obviously seeing her from the beginning, whenever she was adopted, all the way to where she is now, not that far into the series, I already have so much like love for Anne because of how she is. Okay, I feel like I'm talking in circles. That's probably because I am, but if you guys want to read it and find out what I'm talking about, just read the first book. I know it's a classic. It's a modern classic, I think. Oh, it's published 1908. I think it's considered a classic or a modern classic, and it does not read like a classic, so just read it. it's really good. Moving on to the question is, what is the most beautiful book you've acquired or read this year? I did not get this myself. It is a gift from Patrick, but it is the first book in the Anne series, which is Anne of Green Gables. This is such a beautiful addition to the normal one. I mean, I know this book series specifically has so many additions when it comes to the book covers because it is a classic, but this one specifically has things inside that correlates to the story. For example, in the beginning, whenever we were first introduced to Prince Edward Island or Avonlea, they have included in the book the map of Avonlea. How amazing is that? Like, look at how pretty. I feel like after looking at the map a little bit, you can kind of see and imagine how things were back then for Anne, and even like the friendship that they had with like Anne and Diana. I was kind of like struggling to picture how they could like flash the light, because they have like this code, like however many code is like immediately come, like I need to talk to you immediately. And then, or there's like different signals that they do. And I was like, how close are their houses? Because back in the days, I know it's like quite far separated, I guess, like the houses, and especially they're surrounded by this beautiful nature. So like seeing it, like someone sketching it out and illustrating it definitely really helps. So I really enjoyed this edition of the book. Moving on to the next question I have, which book made you laugh, cry, scream, or gave you the biggest emotional reaction? I have 2 or maybe 3, but I am in general not a book crier. I don't really cry to books, but these 3 books have been making me like feel some certain kind of way. Wait, where is it? It is both Carly Fortune's books, Our Perfect Storm and One Golden Summer. I already talked about that, and also Dolly All That Time. So my top 3 contemporary romance read of the year so far has been the 3 books that made me cry this year. And I don't know if I cried to The Nightingale. I think it was just like I was feeling it. Like my heart was fluttering, whatever. It was like it's such an emotional story, and I definitely felt like a prickle. I felt like my eyes, they were glistening, but no tears were spilled. So I would not consider that very emotional. But these 3 books, they deal with like a deeper issue, and it really just touched me. So yeah, do with that information what you will. But let's move to the next question I have. What are your reading goals and most anticipated books for the second half of the year? So I have 4 goals that I really want to implement for the latter half of the year, which is to make more progress in my yearly TBR / finish it soon, and not like the last day of the year. I don't even think I'm halfway, but I am trying my best to work on it, because the thing is, I've put like the last book of the series there, so obviously I need to read book 1, book 2, book 3, whatever, until I reach the book that is stated on the yearly TBR. And I think I'm close to halfway, and I definitely want to focus. And now I think the other half of the yearly TBR is very fantasy heavy, so it's good for the latter half of the year, because I do like to read fantasy and like just deeper, not deeper, just like fantasy, romantasy, sci-fi, whatever it is, more towards fall and winter. So I'm excited. I usually read more towards like this time anyway, so yeah, that's that. And second goal is to push down my TBR, or my physical books, to 30 unread books. I think so far I have counted, I have around 45. So if all goes right and I'm not buying any crazy amount of books on the latter half of the year, I definitely would manage. But we shall see. Because the thing is, I have been enjoying reading on the Kindle, and it's just so easy and so light and practical, especially for the summer when you're so warm and gross and you don't want to carry anything heavy, or you don't want to touch books and make them like crinkly with your sweat, or like sweaty hands. Nah, not good. So we shall see if we can work more towards the physical TBR, but I think so. My third goal is to buy in total less than 10 books for the rest of the year. I don't know how realistic that is, but I want to try. I want to try to not buy as many books as much as possible. I'm trying to not buy any books, period. But if I were to buy books, max amount is 10. We shall see if we manage. And then my last goal would be to do more challenges, because I do love doing like a readathon or reading 100 pages for every single day and those kind of challenges, but I just have not been doing that as much this year, and I want to try and do that for the second half of the year. So we shall see if we manage to do that. But yeah, and then we can now move on to some of my anticipated reads for the end of the year. I have it here. I'm just gonna go through it really quickly. Rights of the Starling by Daphne Perry. Read Shield of Sparrows, absolutely loved it. Want to know what's happening on the second one. But I think I want to do a reread first. Same goes with Brimstone by Callie Hart. I think I want to reread Quicksilver first and then jump into the second book, because I want it quite fresh. So yeah, that's that. And then I have Warbreaker. I have not continued with reading more of Brandon Sanderson's books, and I have not progressed in the Cosmere reading order or Cosmere's books. So I'm gonna make more progress, and I really want to read Warbreaker so that I can read The Way of the Kings, which is also in my yearly TBR, so I need to get on it. I have 2 more books. I have high hopes for When the Moon Hatched by Sarah A. Parker. I think I've been wanting to read this since January, but I'm so intimidated by it, and now we're in July. So here we are. I will read it this year because it's also in my yearly TBR. And other anticipated reads are Sarah J. Maas's books. I have the second book and also the third book in the Crescent City series, and also the 5th/the 6th ACOTAR book that is coming out in October. So super excited for that. And now let's move on to like some quick bonus rounds. And I have here favorite audiobook. My favorite audiobook so far of the year has been the Emma M. Lyon series. I think it's called The Unselected Journals of Emma M. Lyon. I am currently in volume 3. Loving it so much. It's just such a fun thing that Emma is doing, like dilly-dallying and dealing with this, honestly, horrible men. But it's really interesting to read what she's been up to in the Victorian era. Biggest reading accomplishment is to read Alchemist, which is probably my first book that is over 1,000 pages long. So yeah, I think it's an accomplishment. Does the book absolutely need to be 1,000 pages long? Probably not, but I read it. Which genre have you been loving the most? I think I have been loving contemporary romances even more. I think I lost my enjoyment in reading contemporary romances for quite a while, and then now, obviously, finding Carly Fortune, I have been going back into it and have been loving it. And also another thing would be sci-fi. I have not read a lot of sci-fi, and every time I read it, sometimes I just don't know. I don't enjoy it as much, but reading Andy Weir's Project Hail Mary has made me want to try and read other sci-fi books. So we shall see. I do want to read The Martian quite soon. We'll see if we if we do that. Next question. A book that got you out of a reading slump. I'm honestly gonna sound like a broken record, but it's the Anne series and Carly Fortune's romance books. Yeah. I don't think I need to explain more. I've been explaining about those books so many times. That is the end of the bonus rounds. I hope you guys enjoyed this little mini check-in and little mini milestone. It's been so fun reading. I think I have been reading like how I used to. I've been reading a lot of romantasy, a lot of fantasy, and slowly but surely going back more into contemporary romances. And I think I do love contemporary romance more in the summer. So probably towards the latter half of the year last year, I didn't really read much of it because usually I've just been reading fantasy. But recently, fantasy and romantasy, they have been feeling quite like pattern-esque or more like templatey. That's why I've been trying to take a break. And that's why I've been trying to read this book for a while now, but still have not made a huge progress. But I will try my best. But yeah, Thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. And let me know down below some of the answers to some of these questions because I would love to know. And if there are any books that I should read so that it could be put into like some of these tags, just let me know about all your bookish stuff down below. But yeah, I hope you guys have a wonderful rest of your day, and I will catch you in my next one. Goodbye.